The last time you were in New York, we sat down together, and it was February 23rd, just hours before, in Putin's words, announcing a special military operation. He rolled tanks through Ukraine, and it's a full-fledged war. You're back here meeting with partners. Last time you were really pressing hard on sanctions. You said you needed sanctions, you need them expeditiously from the West. What are you asking for now?
Weapons, because we are at a war, and when you are fighting a war against such an enemy, you need more weapons. Sometimes I'm being asked whether there is enough of weapons that we have received, and I always say that I will be able to say it was enough only after Ukraine wins. Until then, we will be asking for more.
And from the United States is already asking Congress for another $12 billion or so. The European allies have sent weapons. For how long are you going to be needing to ask for the increase of these supplies, the weapons and the ammunition?
Our recent successes in the east of Ukraine, our counteroffensive, is an evidence that a combination of Ukrainian stamina and Western weapons, and most of them come from the United States, is the recipe to defeat Russia on the ground. So it's a clear message to everyone that it works, that it makes sense to help Ukraine with weapons, because we can defeat President Putin and his army in our territory. So, of course, the sustainability of supplies is an issue, and that's exactly what we are working on with our partners, not only in Washington, but also all across the globe.
You had this unexpected counteroffensive in the vast territories around Kharkiv. What's next?
Well, it was unexpected for some, but it was a thoroughly planned and well-thought military operation. The next phase will be to continue liberating our territories. We will continue our counteroffensive in the east of the country. I would like to recall that since 24th of February, the only region that Russia controls in full is this Lugansk region of Ukraine. Now, we have a clear goal of depriving Russia of this control, which will send a clear message that since 24th of February, Russia literally achieved no strategic gains in Ukraine.
I want to bring up the fact that what we're seeing in Europe right now, heading into a very tough winter. In Germany, in August, power prices, electricity forward power prices peaked in August, 1,050 euros per megawatt an hour. That is normally 40, 45 euros. Are you confident Europe is going to remain this resolve?
Well, the prices that you have just mentioned is the direct result of President Putin's energy blackmail of Europe and the entire world. And while he blackmails the West with high prices, he literally blackmails Ukrainians with blackouts. A week ago, Russian missiles hit a number of critical infrastructure elements of our electricity grid, causing blackouts in two big regions of Ukraine, including the Kharkiv region that was liberated by our army. Last night, a Russian missile hit near Ukrainian nuclear power plant. And that nuclear power plant also contributes to our electricity grid. So we're facing kind of different levels of problems with our European partners, but we work closely with them in order to sustain this pressure coming from Russia. And I see that European leadership is committed not to allow Putin to succeed, and we are working with them.
Well, you have Viktor Orban flirting with Russia. You have potentially about to usher in a far-right government in Italy. Mario Draghi, a Russia hawk, he very much so backed Ukraine. He will not be there anymore. You have the rhetoric from the likes of Marine Le Pen in France. Are you worried that Europe will penalize Ukraine at some point because of the blowback that these policies, because of the wars, inflicting on their own societies?
I think we will get through it because Europeans understand to a large extent. Of course, there are some leaders, some politicians in Europe, and some people in Europe who believe that it's just nice to give a hug to Putin and things will get back to normal. But the vast majority understands that Putin poses a threat to the entire Europe. And I would like to recall that energy prices went high in Europe months before Putin attacked Ukraine. which means that Putin deliberately started creating problems for Europeans. And this was not about the aggression against Ukraine, the invasion in Ukraine. So it will be tough, but we will get through it.
The other big concern, of course, outside energy is food security. This deal that you had, this peace agreement in terms of grain, ends in November. Will it be extended?
Well, we already hear messages from Russia and from President Putin personally that he puts in question the continuity of this deal. But then he has to respond to nations in Africa, in Asia, who are the main beneficiaries of Ukrainian grain. Why does he put their lives at risk of hunger and hiking food prices at his own sake, because he wants to pursue certain political interests?
But do you think it will be extended?
Putin will try to destroy this deal, but one of the main topics for my stay here in New York at the UN General Assembly is to talk with nations in Africa, in Latin America, in other parts of the world, and to mobilize them to stand against the attempt of Putin to further worsen, deepen the food crisis.